Oh, hello. Yeah, so I basically did nothing all day but slept, and when I was awake, I was reading a fanfic, and I basically finished all, all the chapters that are up. That uh that so before so I finished all the chapters before I sat down to record this before it hits midnight and I ruin my streak. But yeah, it's a Percy Jackson fanfic. I'm not like obviously I'm not super familiar with the Percy Jackson books by themselves, but obviously I'm reasonably familiar with the mythology itself. So I'm not like entirely blind going into it. But anyway, basically a Cyclops decides that I'm just gonna read the one sentence synopsis. Basically, it's like a Cyclops decides he's gonna be a cultivator in the world of Percy Jackson. Somehow he seems to fall upwards, and obviously, I'm not. First of all, I'm not really able to spoil it necessarily, but obviously, it's interesting to me because I also read a bunch of cultivating web novels over the years. So obviously, it's interesting. And also, so like even if you find some things, if you are obviously familiar with the genre or the theme, so basically things that would be overdone or very cliche in in novels, if you think about bringing those themes, like all the nuances and all the tropes into different universe, when where there are no no as far as I know, it doesn't seem like the same novels gonna be there. I'm not entirely sure because obviously I'm not that familiar with the Percy Jackson version of the mythologies. Like I don't know if there's like, for example, is it like the same world as ours with everything the same, except there are also gods and all the mythology uh there. It's like, for example, are there the web novels that we have in our real real world? We have those. Do they also have it? So like, but from what I'm seeing, it's not that there is no mention, and I don't think that's like a big spoiler. But so far, there is no mention of anyone going, "Oh, so it's like in those novels." So it seems that either no one is familiar with the novels, or they don't exist, or the team doesn't exist in that world, and so it gains, it gains a refreshing quality to it, so to speak. Because if in a world like ours, when everyone is at least in those circles familiar with the tropes, and they with quite many of them, they are sick of it. It will be fresh in the other world. And also, it's obviously interesting how it can develop in an entirely different power system, basically. And yeah, it has a, as you could even kind of surmise from the one sentence itself. It's a pretty much it's a happy-go-lucky protagonist, basically. And it's usually, obviously, I've also read a lot of fanfics, but obviously there are quite a lot of them that I have not finished, because as you do, usually you even if you are interested in like the premise, and you might enjoy it for a while, but there are a bunch of times when you get to a point when you feel like there is something that just doesn't vibe with you, and they're not necessarily even like in in story situations, but sometimes, when something shines through and it's like, okay, this is how the author is gonna do something in the story, or this is like basically the set of principles that they operate within the story, and then a bunch of times the disagreement is so deep that you just lose interest in the story. At least that's how it's going with me many times. Or just simply, you had your interest on it, or it held your interest for a bit, but then it loses your interest for one reason or another, and that's when I usually end up dropping it, or not even necessarily as something as a final as dropping it. It can be just like, I might come back to this later, and then you may or may not come back. Usually don't, because there's just so many things in the world that you can get interested in. So yeah, the whole reason why I'm saying all this is that obviously I don't want to spoil the thing, but it means something when there's a fan fiction that I end up reading all the chapters that are available in basically a day. Like obviously less than a day. I was also sleeping a lot today. Probably too much. But anyway. Yeah. I just what I'm trying to get at it is that I'm enjoying it quite a lot, and I didn't find anything that would, throw me off. It has at the moment 150,000 ish words. So it's not like super long, like 47 chapters. The chapters are obviously a bit shorter. There's like no, you know, crazy amount of author's notes that sometimes you can meet with. Those when there are more author's notes in the chapter than the chapter itself, and then obviously that gives like a big word count. Because as far as I know, they're not like they are included. The author's notes are included in the word count. So yeah, there's not really much of that would fluff it up for no reason. So yeah, I think it's pretty good, pretty entertaining, and yeah, I think I would recommend it. So yeah, I'm gonna drop the link into the description, and I don't really have anything else today because that's basically what I was doing the whole day. So yeah, thank you very much. If you're interested, go check it out, and that's it. Bye bye.